and a 1, and a 2, and a squealy dealy do. It's the exit 52.
I just realized that Eric probably doesn't get that one.
That's such a good – little deep cut SpongeBob for you right there.
Yeah, I tried not to laugh, and then the silence was too funny for me because I just like – Eric's like, what the fuck is he doing?
He's like, what the fuck is he doing? All right. It's the Exit 52 podcast presented by Jimmy Seafood, the only Baltimore podcast that this week had 2 stop and starts to start the show. Just a tough scene for me on the intro. I did make a good SpongeBob reference that had Banks laughing, so at least we got that going for us. Gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about. We don't have time to talk about SpongeBob. I would like to have an episode where we talk about SpongeBob, even though it sounds like RDT just couldn't participate.
I'm fine. I've never seen many episodes. Like we can talk about it. I'll just be like, I haven't seen it.
There's surprisingly fewer episodes for you to watch to really capture what you need to capture. Like, I think there's an impression that people have that the SpongeBob run was a lot deeper and longer than it actually was. It's a good 3-4 seasons, and then there's a whole bunch of garbage after that.
Oh, wow. Did not know that. Well,
yeah, I would say that, yeah.
I think it's the situation where there's just a certain, probably like 25 episodes that gets everybody going.
They're the hits.
Yeah.
And there's good stuff around that. There's just, and me and Banks, as 2 people that 3 years ago watched like 12 straight SpongeBob episodes in a Memorial Day weekend trip one time. Like, it's a murderer's row. Like, there's a certain SpongeBob era that is just simply back to back to back, just banger after banger after banger, in almost a stunning way, and almost like RIP to the great Bill Russell. It's like they won 11 straight titles or something. Like, it's just like winner win championship team after championship team.
It's like the early it's like season 1 of Arrested, where it's just every episode is a hit.
Yeah.
See, I've never seen that, but I've heard that. I've heard that. Yeah. I only watch cartoons and teen dramas, so I can't really speak to all these other shows.
Reality shows.
Yeah, and reality shows. So yeah, but we'll talk about that another time. We got Baltimore sports to talk about here, gentlemen, and obviously the breaking story today as we record on Monday, the first day of August, is Trey Mancini dealt to the Houston Astros from the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles get right-handed pitcher Seth Johnson. This is also a 3-team deal, by the way. Jose Siri goes from Houston to Tampa Bay, who Tampa Bay throws in Seth Johnson, and then make sure I'm not flipping that. The Orioles get Chase McDermott from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Johnson is the best prospect in this deal. He's listed as the 6th best prospect in the Rays system, but he just got Tommy John, so he's going to be out for a while. And then McDermott is like 11, 12, like that type of range in the Astros system. So they get 2 prospects backs, 2 pitching prospects, which, as we said after the draft, it felt like the Orioles needed to continue to restock the pitching depth a little bit in the organization, and so they do that to a certain extent with the trade deal. But I'll just throw it out to you guys. First impressions, we've been talking about this for seemingly 5 years. I know it's only been, 6 weeks, but seemingly 5 years about the possibility of Trey Mancini trading. Even going back to like some of the contract stuff and things that happened way back when with him. And now he gets to go to a team where he has the chance to get a ring, which is awesome for him. And a really emotional day, I think, for a lot of fans. Definitely him as well, based on his comments to the media, based on Mike Elias's comments to the media. An emotional day for him. Other players, emotional days for them. RDT, Trey Mancini's your guy. There's no doubt about it. He departs, and it's sad.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster kind of week because, again, we talked about it off air, but I mean, we didn't even talk about his last hit at Camden Yards. Brian, you were there, sitting in those nice seats. Again, I mean, and like we talked about, for that to be Mo Gabba Day, and which lined up with the last Orioles home game before the trade deadline, you're thinking like, if something happens, it's kind of, I don't know what the word is, but like the fact that was the last game and that was the way that he went out to in front of the home fans was something. Again, I mean, his first hit at Camden Yards, his first career hit was a home run at Camden Yards. Into the bullpens. His last hit was a home run off of Josh Lowe's face. And it was a home run. It's not an error. It's not a, someone said it should be a single and 3-base error. No, it was a home run. I've never seen a more clear home run. But yeah, I mean, and I had to. I texted him after that game, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Regardless of what happens, like, I hope you know what you mean to Baltimore. And his response back was like, I love it here. I love this team. I love the guys. Like, this is just so much fun. And he said, like, there, you couldn't write a better ending if this was it. And he's true. I mean, that was quite an ending to go out with. It is cool that the Astros do come to Baltimore late in September. So my guess is that may be close. I mean, that's going to be an awesome crowd. That whole series that they're here. But yeah, when the news came down today, I think everyone was kind of felt the same thing. I'm kind of relieved that it's not tomorrow at 4:00. Like Trey said he thought if he was going to get traded, he thought it would be tomorrow, and he thought it would be at the deadline. And who knows what would have happened. But some stuff kind of started moving today. There were a couple other trades, but yeah, he's going to go to Houston. And they asked him in his interview because he was on the field, like warming up, and they pulled him off the field. They asked him what he thought about the Crawford boxes, which is the complete opposite of what Camden Yards did this year with their fence. And he just said, knock on wood, I think I'm going to like this a little better than the new wall at Camden, which, I mean, 315 down the line versus 3, whatever it is, I think he'll be fine. But again, he goes to a team that is, I mean, they're arguably, obviously the Yankees are the team to beat, but the Astros are right there. The Astros have the Yankees number this year. They're going to hit a bunch of home runs. They're already a very fun team to watch. I mean, if they go out and they make a World Series run, I think it's going to be great to see Trey. Again, I mean, this is going to be basically his first taste of playoff baseball. He got it in 16 in that wild card game against the Blue Jays, but that was it. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for him to kind of get this new start in Houston. Obviously, he wanted to be here, it sounded like, but I mean, he's also knew what was going to happen. So again, I'm really excited to watch him in these playoffs and just again see him on the bright under the bright lights, the big stage, and batting 5th or 6th or whatever behind Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve. So I mean, a great I think he said 9 years in the organization, great 6 years, up here in Baltimore. And for some, I think they said he was like 200 games under 500 in his career. Obviously, the Orioles were not good when he was here, but they were like, you just don't see someone beloved like he was, again, on a team that lost 200 more games than they won when he played. So again, I mean, it was a very bittersweet day, but it was obviously wishing nothing but the best for him and Sarah, and who knows what he'll do in free agency. I mean, I don't know. We'll see, but yeah, shout out to him.
That 200 number is tough to hear.
Well, and that was not including the 2020 season, which again, they were only 10 games under, but it was like 286 and 490 something like that.
Oh.
It was bad. I got to find out who. Someone tweeted it, and I should have. If I find it, I'll let you know. We'll give him credit.
Yeah, brutal. What a moment, though. I mean, just talking about last Thursday afternoon at a game that had a pretty good crowd for a weekday summer afternoon game, and the energy was good all day. It was a pitcher's duel, and I can pinpoint the last time I saw the yard just kind of go crazy in the middle of a moment as it was unfolding. It's Delman Young. Like, it was 8 years ago. As soon as that ball hit, clocked him in the head and started rolling away, the place went bananas. I mean, it was electric. And obviously it was just that buzz stayed there, for the remainder of the game, which, wasn't much more to it, but there was just an air in the ballpark. Like, hey, we're here because meaningful baseball is happening. We're here because we care about this team. And what we just saw is something different. It's not just your normal run-of-the-mill baseball game. Like, it was just a special moment for a special player at a special time. And it's poetic. And it stinks that he's gone. But it is what it is. We know it's business. We talked for weeks about how we didn't want it to happen. Still want it to be undone, but it is what it is. And all things considered, it seems as though they got a great haul relative to what we figured they could get. So that's a good thing in its own right. I think Johnson pegs in there as in theory, as the third best pitching prospect in the organization, and he's going to get Tommy John here. But come 2024, 2025, he'll be in his mid-20s, and these other guys will be up in rotation, and you're starting to fill out a legitimate rotation if he pans out, because it seems like, Grayson and D.L. Hall are, nobody's a sure thing, but it looks like they're going to be dudes in the league. So you start to just put those guys in place, and we've got the offensive tools in the pipeline, and even at the major league level already, it's things are really coming into view here, and not just for this year but for the long term. And we were all kind of shitting on the idea of Trey Mancini getting traded because we thought we were just going to get peanuts for him and just organizational depth, and it sounds like we actually got somebody who can be a contributor, a serious contributor down the road.
Real quick, it sounds like Johnson. I think they've already updated the Orioles rankings. They have Johnson as the 8th best prospect in the Orioles.
Ahead of Heston Kjerstad. Yep.
Yeah, he's one ahead, and then the other guy, I forget his name. They had him at 12. So again,
12 ahead of Mike Bauman.
Yeah, and again, Banks. You said it. I was all again shitting on it, being like, if you're going to get a 26-year-old guy who couldn't get above AA, then no, this is not worth it. And from the second that it came out, who the players were, and then again, it's impossible to grade these trades, but people were like, it seems like the Orioles got two guys who will help their playoff positioning sooner rather than later. And again, that this is a move for, obviously, that they thought that they were getting very good value. And again, when you see them slotted where they are in the system, it's like, okay, well, it's not a 28th guy and then he's unranked, which would have been like, thanks, way to go, and then you really would have had Buster Olney going even more than he was already going today. That fucking piece of shit. You saw his tweet?
I was so close to just tweeting finding a clip of Charlie from It's Always Sunny when they're complaining about there being no dong in the movie, and he's just like, fuck you. And I just wanted to find that simple short clip, and I didn't find it quickly enough. And then I also just thought to myself, let's not give him his moment here.
Yeah, I think a lot of people took their anger out on Buster, being like, the Orioles saved $2.5 million to get a bunch of pitchers in A-ball. And it's like, there are many things that this trade was. It wasn't a salary dump. It's not a salary dump. That's not what it was. You peasant. He's the worst. He saw another opportunity and he took it today. But yeah, again, it sucks. Like we were saying, a lot of the you could hear a lot of the guys in the locker room. I think Ryan Mountcastle, his legit quote was, "This sucks." So again, he was, leader in the clubhouse, leader in the community, leader on the diamond. You could not ask for anything better than what Trey has done the last 6 years. And again, I've told them many times, I'll root for you guys no matter where you go. Houston's getting, obviously, someone very easy to root for, a hell of a baseball player, and a very good clubhouse presence. So,
did he get added to the lineup card tonight in Houston?
No, I don't think so, because he was on the field in
right, but it's
Rangers.
Not terribly. It's a short flight.
Yeah, but I don't know about physicals or whatever. Now with COVID stuff and all that.
I figured just because, and I was going to bring this up, a little bit ironic that the trade opened up the roster move for Yasniel Diaz to get called up.
Yeah, because people thought it was going to be Stowers, number one, but
yeah. So I just popped on the Sox Astros game here, and they're going to the bottom ninth, and I was just wondering if he's going to get a pinch hit opportunity here, but I guess that's not in the cards.
No, but I think Christian Vasquez is. Well, I don't know about him, but he got traded while on the field in that game, or during batting practice. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that.
It was pretty funny. He just had to walk it. He was doing an interview.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
And the PR guy just grabbed him by the shoulder and yanked him away. It was like, you're coming with us.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to watch the Buster Olney stuff. I actually think that, we've obviously belabored a lot of these points about Olney and about Mancini, so I don't think we need to like relitigate our feelings about what we thought the team should have done with Mancini. I don't necessarily think Buster Olney is wrong to like retweet 400 quotes about how everyone in the Orioles organization loves Trey Mancini and then make the point that they traded him and I'm not diminishing these two guys as prospects. You know, Seth Johnson could come off of Tommy John and become great. But he will be a 24-year-old who hasn't gotten past A ball, you know, coming off of Tommy John. So he's not like he's a prospect, but he's not a guarantee. None of these guys are, and that's not a shot at him. To me, this continues to suck, and and maybe they will just re-sign him in free agency, and it really won't matter. And it's like we'll just forget that there was a 3 months of a trade. But when you've like built this momentum, and I know this is not how teams make decisions. I know I'm speaking in a utopian world where whatever. You read all those quotes from Mountcastle and Adley, and Adley's quote was like he's the gold standard, like he's the guy that all of us look up to. I just think that has more value than these two prospects. And I agree with both what you guys said, that these two guys are better than what I thought they were going to get. Makes you think there's probably more of a market for Mancini than I thought there was. I think that is what that proves.
Especially
clearly they were
Benintendi's, that haul last week was like, ooh, maybe they're not going to get something that good.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean, that's pretty good. And maybe, Johnson is coming off of Tommy John and is, I think, Rule 5 eligible too. And the Tampa just like needed to get rid of him essentially because of their roster situation. So whatever, those guys are who they are. I just will just make the point one more time, because we're never going to talk about this again, that I think that guy, as your leader for your, 2 more months of guys getting called up into the bigs, your Vavras and your Stowers and all these different guys that they're going to call up for sure. Having that guy as the guy that comes in every day and as the model of professionalism, I just think that's valuable. I respect Mike Elias for coming in and, saying how it wasn't an easy decision. And I don't doubt that it wasn't. Like, no one, I think, here in Baltimore is saying that this wasn't easy. I'm sure Mike Elias thought about this and belabored over this, lost sleep over this. That's what good executives do. I just disagree with it. If I was making the decision, I wouldn't have. But also, Mike Elias is getting paid a lot more money and has won World Series and done things that I haven't done. So I will trust him to make those decisions correctly. But it just, you read those quotes, and you knew those quotes were coming. I mean, we all knew those quotes from those guys were coming. But the Adley Rutschman, he's the gold standard. That just means something in a locker room. Guys like that really means something. And you hope that there's other veterans and that these guys have learned enough to where that, standard of work and, what you do each and every day is the same. And maybe the Orioles have created that regardless of a Mancini. Maybe that just exists regardless. And if they have, that's an amazing culture. And that bodes very well for the future. And that makes me really excited. But I was reading those quotes and I was like, just as a fan, just emotionally as a fan, because I think we do a pretty good job sometimes separating like the emotion of a fan from like, all right, we see the business side, and I totally see that, and I see where Mike Elias is coming from. You just look at it as a fan, and I just enjoyed watching the Orioles more with Trey Mancini in the lineup every night. I enjoyed watching the team. That stuff that happened on Thursday was unbelievable. It really was. It was one, for a team that's 51-51, it's pretty amazing that that's a moment that they were able to experience, and that, that got that kind of recognition. And for that guy, well, also one of the worst efforts you'll ever see from a catcher getting back to the plate to try to tag Mancini, who just was laboring at the end. But whatever. Feel for the moment, I think, is what we said when we were texting about it on Thursday. RDT, I think you said that. Like, what a feel for the moment by the catcher.
That guy could not have gone any slower, being like, here I go. I'm going to tag him.
And then, by the way, let's get this. Kevin Cash. I mean, what is that? An error? First of all, it is not an error. It's just straight up not an error. No one in the world is scoring that an error. He couldn't see the ball. Like, when you can't see it, and if it hit off his glove, error. But it just hit him in the face. He couldn't see the ball. Like, I know that is an error, quote unquote. He should have made the play, but it's not a normal circumstance. It became not a routine play. It was no longer a routine play once he couldn't see it. So Kevin Cash, take an absolute seat. That was so sour. Just appreciate the moment a little bit. Don't be a robot. That's why he didn't win the World Series.
But also, what does he care if it's an error? What's the difference?
It's so weird. I just support your guy. Be like, we feel for him. It's tough out there at that time of the day, and he just lost it in the sun, and that happens in baseball. We have full confidence in him. We're moving on. It's an error.
Mhm.
Like, what a weird quote. Very bizarre.
It came off as just a sourpuss answer. Like
Yeah,
like
I
a
just
very
don't
pissy
understand
answer.
why. I wish I couldn't find the video. I should have tried harder. I wanted to
I
find the
couldn't
video of him
find it either.
saying, because I was almost like, is this like made up or something? Because it just seemed like such a weird, detached quote. Like,
Mhm.
not even about it could have been any, it could have been Jorge Mateo that hit it, but just like not your, maybe he said it after. I just couldn't find the transcript, but like, come support your guy. Like, it just happens. Like, every outfielder in baseball has this happen at least a couple times in their career where you just have some environmental circumstances that screw with you out there. But whatever. Yeah, stinks to not see Trey Mancini. Hopefully Chase McDermott and Seth Johnson become productive members of the Orioles organization and do great things. And hopefully Trey Mancini resigns in free agency. Would love to have him back, obviously. Great representative of the town.
I
And
also
the team.
said if the Astros win the World Series, I don't know if I said this on here, but I think you hang a banner. I think we'll find a place to put a banner in Camden Yards.
I mean, there's a lot of space in the warehouse.
A lot of space.
Is Buster only invited to the
No.
Astros parade?
No.
No.
Someone said that Buster only hates the Astros too because they did like a Orioles fans handshake, Astros fans handshake, and then underneath hating Buster only. By the way, I've gotten 350 new followers that are all Astros fans, and they're like, "Come on down, partner. We got barbecue. Enjoy it." Like,
nice people down there.
Bitch.
That's, I mean, for longtime listeners, that's Banks' team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct. I was 3-4 years ahead of the curve on this one, and I really cemented it in the early stages of this podcast. I actually looked back on it, episode 4, I believe. I'm standing for my Astros. So you guys are late to the party, but welcome aboard. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you for
It's good to see you guys see the error in your ways and go towards a light.
Now, I'll pose this to you guys real quick. So we talked about last couple weeks, this stretch the Orioles had, right? They were going into a pretty manageable part of the schedule before the trade deadline. Not manageable necessarily all before the trade deadline, but this key games against the Rays and the Yankees, and then it opened up a little bit after that with the series against Cincinnati leading into the deadline. Ultimately, Mancini gets traded a day before the deadline, so I had added this Texas game in there. They go 6-5 in this 11-game stretch. Is there any chance that Mancini doesn't get traded if they're, I don't know, 9-2? It sounds like he still gets traded, by the way. Based on what Mike Elias said, that just felt like the plan.
Yeah, and there was a quote, I got to find it, that Brandon Hyde had, and he said something about, one day you're 3 games or 2 games above 500 or 3 games above 500 and you're cruising into an easier part of the schedule. And then he said, you lose 2 games, you're back at 500 and he said, I got to find the exact quote. I don't know where.
Yeah, they won tonight against Texas. They just won as we record. So they're 52-51. The Cincinnati series is one they really needed to win to kind of that's just like one they're just going to have to win with, the AL East teams they're going to play. They got to take advantage of every time they don't play someone that's absolutely, just like selling out to win, which is what all those teams are doing, except for the Rays, who I don't know what the Rays are doing. But they now 52-51. They continue to stay in this sort of similar like 3, 2.5, 3.5 type of games out of the wild card slot. I think if you're Mike Elias, you also are realizing that a team like Seattle and Toronto are kind of just going to go all out to win those 2 wild card spots. And maybe you think, okay, we're not going to catch those teams unless something crazy happens. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they were just going to trade Mancini anyway because it's an expiring contract. They don't think they're going to re-sign him, and why not get a couple things for him? Also, and we talked about that as sort of a fair way to think about it. But the Orioles are still right there. Look, we'll see if they can continue to put it together without Trey. It's also funny, the Trey Mancini situation and we talked about this last week, he was had an 0-for-21 stretch going at one point. I mean, it's not as like he was playing his way a high level, into a high level trade piece over the last couple of weeks. But now the Orioles go without him. They call up Yusniel Diaz. We'll see how that works out. Terrin Vavra gets the call to the majors this weekend. He had a hit tonight. A lot of people are excited about him or wanted him up for a while. to play in the infield. So do these, guys that have been playing in Norfolk and playing really well in Norfolk come up and just sort of continue the ride for the Orioles? Certainly possible. It was very fun this weekend when they had their run differential to a even 0. That was like almost – I saw people tweeting like it as an accomplishment. It was amazing. But yeah, so 2.5 games out of the wild card, still over 500, still a fun team to watch. So we'll see.
And one last thing too, and I did find the quote. It was from Zach Silver, who said Brandon Hyde on the Trey Mancini trade, and this wasn't really what I thought it was, but one day we're going to be 3 games up in the division, and then things change. I don't really know what he meant by that. Like, I don't know. I read that wrong originally.
It's interesting quote.
But Jim Palmer, I don't know if you guys didn't watch the pregame. Jim Palmer got like emotional talking about Melanie teed up a question to him, and he started talking about Trey and what he meant to the city and the community. And he started talking, and at one point you could tell he kind of just stopped and he shook his head and was like, I can't. So I thought that was very interesting. Again, I think if you're making Jim Palmer get emotional and upset about Orioles baseball, like I think that's a pretty good point of what you've accomplished in your Orioles career.
Yeah, it's a good way to close the book on that. Now we see if they make any other deals tomorrow. Trade deadline, 5 o'clock, I think?
6 o'clock. So people are
6 o'clock.
saying they played 8. The Orioles played 8. So,
if the Orioles do anything wild tomorrow, we will jump on and put something right here in this slot of the podcast. So with our schedules, we wanted to record after the trade deadline tomorrow, but we just couldn't put it together. So thankfully the Mancini stuff broke now. We were able to talk about it. So if it's something, it would have to be something wild for us to jump on here. Like if there's one trade that happens, we're not going to, throw a segment in here, but if something crazy happens, we will jump back on here and do a little thing and stick it in the segment right here before we go to the Ravens talk. But the Trey Mancini era for now over in Baltimore. I think an emotional day for a lot of Orioles fans. I saw a lot of people even that I don't see like post Orioles stuff like on Instagram and things like that being like, oh, this sucks, like emotional day. So definitely tell, as you said, the Jim Palmer thing, but definitely on the fan base, heck of an impact for Trey Mancini. That dude can be very proud of the work he put in for the organization, for the city. Let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens. They had their open practice at M&T Bank Stadium this weekend, which I've never done one of the open practices. I think, Banks, you and I were together a little bit this weekend. We were talking about how, like, we don't really see the appeal of watching the open practice at M&T Bank Stadium, but there were like 25,000 people there. So clearly maybe you and I are just not drinking out of the same water as those people, but good for all of you that were there who listened to the show. I mean, I respect that dedication for going out there.
I think the idea is that it's a lot more family friendly. It's tough to bring children to an NFL football game.
True.
I mean,
for sure.
It's sloppy out there sometimes, and it can be a whole day.
You don't know what your kids are hearing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And whereas they build that more as a kind of a kids' day, and they've got the fireworks to bring it all home. I get it. It's just not necessarily my type of thing. But, more power to the people who go and to the Ravens for putting it together and being able to draw 27K. So it's awesome. People are excited about the team.
Definitely a tribute to the brand and loyalty the Ravens have put together to get all those people out there. It's almost like a little bit like a spring game. It's like where you're not really seeing anything of consequence, but you're able to get people out there. Like, good on the Ravens. It's like everything sounded really good. It looked really good. I think the biggest storyline coming out of the early days of camp, there's no doubt that it is the universal praise for how Lamar Jackson looks as a passer right now, from media, from coaches, from players. I think Banksy tweeted, the league should be scared or something to that nature. There have, where we had all the Lamar Jackson weird stuff last year during camp with COVID and, and all the stuff coming in here with contract and what's he doing and is he signing and blah, 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 blah. What are they offering? And we just had the Kyler Murray contract, which exacerbated it more. We've gotten to football here, and the brass tacks are that Lamar Jackson is playing his ass off in camp.
He's looking good. One of the things we're keeping our eyes on with regards to him is how comfortable he looks in the pocket. because when things started to break down and not having Ronnie Stanley and revolving doors at both tackle positions last year, he constantly looked uncomfortable in the pocket and he had no time to throw. And he started to second guess decisions based on how much time he thought or he had or didn't have and all those types of things. He had some happy feet. And we saw the same thing with Flacco too. Like when the offensive line play was poor, he got some happy feet and he didn't play he threw a lot of ball off his back foot. So it's good to see Lamar kind of return to form in terms of having the footwork inside the pocket and drifting around and firing. There's one replay from kind of that sky cam view where he kind of like maneuvers around a little bit and finds a good arm slot to sling one across to Mark Andrews, which is a sight we've seen so many times over the last 4 years. And it's just, so, first off, it just is awesome and exciting to see that because that's football. It was July and that's what you like to see. It's just a familiar sight, but it looked like the same Lamar to Mark Andrews connection that we're just so used to seeing and, an MVP caliber connection. Of course, it's something to continue to monitor because they're not really going at it full speed. Guys aren't going after quarterbacks. It's not quite full contact whatsoever. So it's an interesting question given the injury dynamic from last year and John Harbaugh changing some of the practice tactics and schedules for this year to try to mitigate some injury concerns. It'll be interesting to see how many reps we even see of Lamar Jackson in like true full speed, full contact type environment before week 1. I don't know how much he'll play in the preseason. I'm sure he'll play some snaps, but we'll see. It's yet to be seen. And we're just 9 days away from a preseason game in Baltimore. And we'll see how much he plays. But it's exciting. He threw a great deep ball to Rashad Bateman, and Bateman is getting vertical on some guys and answering some questions that they had without Hollywood Brown involved. And, it's things are looking up.
Didn't he put on like a decent amount of muscle too, I think they were saying, or did he cut down, or what was it? Because I think they were saying like you can tell he's not thicker, but they were like he just looks jacked.
Yeah, and I don't even think he was all that. He wasn't
frail or skinny,
as limber or frail as people might have perceived him to be. He always had some good strength to him. He wouldn't get ragdolled too much. He kind of would glance hits and not get affected too much and break some tackles, slip some tackles, whatever. And now he's got more of it. It'll be interesting to see if it's cost him a half a step in any regard, but I don't know. It seems like the natural progression for a quarterback at that age and of that profile to add some muscle and protect himself. I don't know how conscientious that decision was to put that weight on, if it was something the team and him got together and said to do. I don't know. We'll see what the impact of that is. Hopefully it helps him on a few of those QB sneaks where he just kind of, that's the one thing in terms of his strength. It seems like the QB sneaks can go a little sideways every once in a while. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and it's funny because, all the reports we've heard is about how sharp the offense have been. I know today, I think it was a more defensive dominated practice, but you're right, Banks. The steps, it's sort of a twofold thing. Like you hear all of the really good reports from practice, and that's great. That pumps us up. It doesn't really mean anything until we see this stuff in a game. I think, it's also, developing like what is that offensive line going to look like in front of them that's going to try to keep those guys off. I mean, one of the reasons that the Ravens fell apart down the stretch was inconsistency as the offensive line, which allowed Lamar Jackson to get pressured, which allowed him to get hurt, which, sent us through the Tyler Huntley era, which guy put on a hell of an effort, but that's, where it took the Ravens to a non-playoff spot situation. But those are the questions that need to be answered. Like who is going to anchor that offensive line? And, can they keep Lamar Jackson off the ground and healthy? And the preseason stuff's going to be interesting in terms of how much he plays and how much we see of him, to kind of get some of those signals heading into the season. One of the really big things besides the Lamar content that came out of that practice was Kyle Hamilton just getting dragged all over the internet for getting beat by a former USFL player, Bailey Gaither, on a play. This reaction is why I think it's just hard for people to talk about sports anymore. Just like one isolated play, just totally judging that a guy has no speed and no ability to move. Bizarre. One of the more bizarre things I've seen, at least on Twitter, involving the Ravens in a long time.
There was the word that kept getting thrown around was burned. He had his hips turned the wrong way for a half a second, and that's what happens in the NFL when you get beat like that. The separation is like that. It's quick. It wasn't a good look, but then the reaction over the top after he was getting dragged was this, like, it was almost exhausting to hear how many people having to come in defending him, where I almost heard so many people say, like, well, he's never going to be guarding that route in that spot against a person of that size, this, that, the other, and which is the correct view. It's just like so many people felt the need to come in and be Mr. Analyst on that, and it's like it's just furthering the conversation, and I'm just not here for this conversation. It's like, come on, Kyle Hamilton, 1,000 plays on tape in college, big time. I don't want to use the word surefire, sure thing, but he's a dude. Like, he's an absolutely great football player, and he's going to be in the NFL.
Yeah, the overreaction was just crazy to me. Just like, and John Harbaugh, to his credit, came to Hamilton's defense. He was like, he's covering him in a position we're never gonna put him in. He was covering a guy he would never be covering in a game. Just happened to go that way. I think he said here, I'll read the quote. Someone gave him the opinion that he's a limited guy. He's got to play in the box because they saw him try and cover a guy that ran 10-4 in the 100 meters. I don't know. We're not going to match him up against a 10-4 100-meter guy. But he played man today pretty good, as you saw. He's going to be pretty versatile and going to line up in a lot of spots.
Yeah.
There you have it.
I mean, there you have it. It's like, there are drills in football practices that happen where there's literally a line, and you get matched up with who you get matched up with. It's a complete luck of the draw. It's just reps. It's not this whole X's and O's. Let's define a player off of this type of situation. So it's
it's just a lot of talk for really no reason.
That's the NFL though.
Yeah. Do you guys want to hear Jeff Zaribic stock up, stock downs, and give me some reaction?
Sure.
I've been waiting on it.
Stock up, Jalen Armour Davis. Like to hear that. Ravens decent quarterback depth.
Mm-hmm.
Rashad Bateman. We like to hear that.
Absolutely.
That stock needs to continue to ascend. Undrafted wide receiver Shamar Bridges. I know that's a guy you love, RDT. You're a big Shamar Bridges guy.
You will not find with Trey out of town now. Guess what, buddy? If you need someone to stand for you, Mr. Bridges, you got me right here.
The Ravens do need a fifth receiver, and there's been all these guys thrown about in that mix that are undrafted, and it sounds like Bridges is the guy that is emerging as the potential guy. So we'll see if that plays out. He went to Fort Valley State.
Should we just run a whole campaign and kind of create an entire Twitter personality surrounding this guy?
Be the Bridge Boys?
Yeah.
I would be. I'm in. I like Shamar Bridges, 6'4",
big trust.
Big trust. He's got a little red zone target vibes to him.
Shamar Bay
like
Bridges.
That.
Call him that. A little bit.
Yeah, the Bay Bridges.
Workshop it. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk offline. I think Shamar deserves some campaigning for him. God knows what other guys do. Lamar Jackson, the stock up. Like that. Isaiah Likely.
Sweet.
Who's Reba called a mini camp darling. I absolutely love that.
Love that.
Yeah.
For the record, by the way, I officially put in my Lamar Jackson MVP future, and Lamar Jackson lead league in passing touchdowns. I put those futures in this week. Lamar's 60 to 1 to lead the league in passing touchdowns.
I like that. There's 100 guys on here. I'll just go through the rest of them quickly. Ben Powers, James Prochet, another guy we've talked about a lot.
Nice.
I think can emerge. Brandon Stevens, and honorable mention Devin Duvernay, Tony Jefferson, Travis Jones. Travis Jones got rave reviews after the open practice.
Yeah,
a couple of things
that's exciting stuff.
Which is
He's
very
the
exciting.
UConn D tackle.
Yep. Jalen Moore, Adafe Owe, and Jordan Stout, who, I mean, this guy's so clearly going to be an unbelievable punter. I can't wait to watch this guy punt. It's just such a no doubter. Such a no doubter. Like, good for Zaribek for putting one of the honorable mentions, because you can't, like, do a whole paragraph about a punter. It's just obvious that the media is watching this guy punt and is like, this guy can really punt. I absolutely love it. I know exactly how to read into that. Stock down Ben Cleveland. I mean, pass the conditioning test.
That was good. He just got married. Like, he probably enjoyed himself a little bit. Like, give him a break.
Tristan Colon. It looks like he's just maybe going to be an odd man out. Nothing that he really did.
This is your scenario where you have guys that you catch all the buzz about, and then you're like, I wonder who he's in a camp battle with, and you just throw him in the stock down pile.
Charlie Kohler, been hurt. David Ajabo, who can't even play, but looks like
because he hasn't signed his contract.
Yeah, kind of a weird contract situation. Because if you're the Ravens, you want him rehabbing in the building.
Is he the only draft pick that hasn't been signed yet out of every?
I believe so.
Yes.
I think like in the entire NFL, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, because it's really hard to hold that as a rookie now. Like, you don't normally see it go this long. Kevon Seymour, Benjamin Victor. Ohio State's own Benjamin Victor. So, guy's been on the practice squad a lot. So, not a lot of concerning stock downs, which is nice. And a lot of exciting stock ups. So thank you, Mr. Zaribek in The Athletic. I read his work. The Ravens beat people do a very good job. Shout out to them as we head into the season. Very nice job.
Any update on Tavon Young? Or all things clear there?
Oh, hold on. Let me take a quick peek. Let me just, I always have my articles open. We like to obviously, bop through everything. I respect the reporting that all the people that cover the Ravens do, but I didn't see anything on Young.
No news is good news for Tavon.
No, yeah. So it sounds like Tavon's going to be involved. Okay. A lot of corners. Obviously, the Ravens have drafted a lot of corners. Obviously, he's been hurt so much that you just never know if he's going to play. But it looks like he's missed the injury bug at this point, which is really good to see. Battling for a role apparently. Oh, yeah. But no, I'm just kidding. Yes. But
I can't tell if you're doing a shtick or not.
I was doing a shtick
right now.
I was doing a shtick until right now. It sounds like the promising Bears cornerback battling with Tavon Young is hurt, so it's worked out for him. He's the one that's healthy. Someone else is getting hurt. Good for him.
Football juju.
Wow, competing with veteran Tavon Young for the starting role.
We hope for the best for his counterpart.
He's healthy right now, according to RotoWire's staff on CBS Fantasy. I don't know. Are someone drafting Tavon Young at IDP? Maybe
there's those leagues. Who knows?
That let me tell you what. If you're doing IDP, good for you. I just don't understand the appeal of IDP. I've never been able to figure it out. But I'm not the biggest fantasy head, so I mean, what do I know? You guys ever done an IDP league?
No.
Many, many years ago.
A Young Banks.
Mm-hmm.
A Young Banks.
Who was your player?
Ed Reed, for sure.
Who is it?
I probably took him in the second round.
Ed Reed.
Oh, yeah.
Ed Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you said, though, Ravens preseason coming very quickly. Next Thursday against RDT's Tennessee Titans. So
Streak's coming to an end that night, boys.
We will delve into we will delve further into the. I think I might have said this last week, but I'll push it back another week. We will delve into the Ravens' unbelievable preseason streak next week because it is really one of the I'm not really sure any story in sports should be more talked about than it, but that's just me. That's just me talking. Let's get into the starting 5 draft presented by Fed Thrill. I mean, we're in August now. So if you haven't gotten your Fed Thrills, I really don't know what you're doing. But you can still get them 20% off. Use the promo code X52. Get some sunglasses. Maybe you broke yours. Maybe you lost them on a boat or something. You need a new pair. Get 20% off your sunglasses. Go out there and get some.
Honestly, football season's coming in hot, and
tailgate season.
You get late in the season there. You're gonna want them when it's you get your 1 o'clock game, and then by the fourth quarter, the sun's starting to get a little low in the sky, and it's right in your eyes as you're trying to watch the Ravens close out a blowout against Deshaun Watson in Week 7. You're gonna want those sunnies.
Real quick. Statement from Trey Mancini from Twitter 14 minutes ago. Birdland, words don't do justice what you mean to me, so I'll keep it simple. Playing for the Orioles organization and for the city of Baltimore was a dream come true for me. However, my love for Baltimore transcends baseball. My life was saved here. I met my dream woman and soon-to-be wife here. I met my hero, Mo, here. A huge piece of my heart will always belong to Baltimore. To every teammate along the way, to every coach, trainer, and staff member, to both front offices, to the Angelos family, and most importantly, to the fans, thank you for the best 10 years imaginable. I love you all, Trey. What a guy. What a statement.
And see, that's not like a PR written, hey, like, we're going to tweet this out or something like that. Like,
he wrote that.
That is 100%
wrote that.
Yeah. So, again, I mean, it's just, I don't know. That's who he is. He's the man.
Awesome stuff. Well, in honor of Trey Mancini, we get to our starting 5 draft presented by Fed Thrill. All-time Houston Astros. No, that's not a bit. All-time Houston Astros is the starting 5
This is an Astros podcast.
This is the biggest Astros podcast in Baltimore.
We are rooting for the Astros. We are the biggest Astros podcast in Baltimore, and we are going to pick Astros. I cannot believe I just said that on this show. RDT has the first pick. I have the second pick. Banks, you have the third pick. RDT, the starting 5 draft presented by Fed Thrill. Favorite Houston Astros.
It's Trey Mancini, number 1. Has to be. He's by far my favorite Astro. He's never lost a game while being in their organization. Yeah, I don't know. He's been a really good player for them. You know, that's about it.
They just lost to the Red Sox a minute ago, but
he wasn't on the count. He wasn't on the field.
I was gonna say,
but he wasn't there really. Again, I don't even know if he's on the roster yet. But yeah, we're going Trey. I hope do they have a number 16? Is he gonna wear 16? I'm legitimately gonna buy a Trey jersey, maybe like the City Connect.
Do they have?
I love those for the record.
They're really nice. I think those and the Padres ones are really, really good.
I was always a big fan of them for that type of look because the Durham Bulls did a look like that a few years ago where it was dark navy blue on dark navy blue with an orange belt,
lime green and all
it's
that.
It's like a midnight. Well, not lime green. It was just the blue and the orange, but just kind of like a midnight look to it.
They do.
I may have even drafted that.
Almeida Diaz is 16 for them.
Hit the road, buddy. Sorry, Diaz.
Yes. So they do have a 16 on their team. Okay. I mean, that was clearly going to be the number 1 pick. This is one where you really wanted the number 1 pick in this draft. I don't really know what I want to do with this draft at all. So I'm just sort of scanning the Astros all-time roster. And I'm going to take a guy that I've taken in another draft. I'm taking LJ Hose.
Ooh.
Oh, I did not expect that whatsoever.
Took him in the random Orioles draft. I'm taking him here. Love me some LJ. You know, put him on the squad. I think he played 2 years. I should probably find this now. Oh, here he is on the all-time roster. Yeah, 2 years after leaving Baltimore. Got traded. Do you guys know who he got traded with? This is
No,
actually an interesting trade.
I know who it was. Did you say who it was for?
I know
Nope.
who it was for. It was
Me too. It was for Scott Feldman, wasn't it?
No, it was the Bud Norris deal.
Nope.
Oh, it was Bud Norris.
Man, who it was? I
Was
can't
it the
remember.
catcher? No, that was Chicago. Clevenger.
Josh Hader.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tough.
Wait,
Wow.
what? Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it was Hose and Hader who went to Houston. That's right. Yep. Hader was in like high A or low A or something at the time. So, who just got moved today too?
Just got moved today. Yep. 4-time All-Star. Whatever. Thanks.
Didn't expect for this to get to me, but I'm going to take the Hall of Famer. I'm taking Jeff Bagwell, one of the great batting stances of all time. More MVPs than Derek Jeter. Also a Rookie of the Year way back when. Just a quintessential 1990s slugger. I am so thrilled to have Jeff Bagwell. Also, just a great baseball name, Jeff Bagwell.
Great. He had the '90s power hitting facial hair too.
Yeah, just the goatee absolutely crushed it. I don't know how he generated power with a swing in which you have a wider stance before taking your step than when you actually take your swing, but somehow he did it. That's some kind of strength, all natural too, I would imagine.
Good pick.
Yeah.
With my next pick, I'm just going to take Craig Biggio, also Hall of Famer. Dude is a magnet. Took a lot of hit by pitches, most baseball history. I don't know that there's a lot more to say about Craig Biggio. Did he get to 3,000 hits?
I think so.
Believe so.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Yeah. I mean, just a classic leadoff hitter. Not many second basemen make it the Hall of Fame. He did. So, Craig Biggio, also a great baseball name.
3,060 hits.
There you go.
His son, now a very good player, obviously.
Correct?
I'm taking Nolan Ryan. I don't think you can. I don't think you can go wrong taking old Nolan Ryan. Texas legend, Texas freaking legend, Nolan Ryan. Played forever, really played forever. I believe I'm making sure I get the numbers right. 1980 to 88 with the Astros. Played from 1966 to 1993. Pretty amazing.
Insane. Still pumped too, and well into his mid 40s.
Was an all-star in 72 and 89. That's incredible. I mean, that is so ridiculous. 11-time strikeout leader, World Series champion. He's got his number retired by 3 teams.
Strikeout totals are absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
7 career no-hitters. Disgusting.
That too.
Disgusting career. Disgusting career.
Have you've seen that video when he throws at the first pitch for the Rangers in like 2009 or something like that? And they recorded it on the gun at like 84. And they were like, it's the fastest first pitch ever. He just fucking
just a legend. Just a straight up legend. So I'm happy to have him on that team with LJ Hose.
Wonder what the oldest person. Am I overthinking this? Yeah, no, that's not how it works. Anyways.
You want to hear crazy? You guys know the crazy Nolan Ryan stat?
I'm sure I've heard.
Never won a Cy Young.
Mm.
That's stunning.
People think he's the most overrated pitcher of all time.
Maybe we should do a 2 first names draft at some point. You know, just coincide with our 3-game draft.
We could
do that. I think we talked about that. I think we talked about that after the 3-name draft. God,
may
I still have
have.
my list of picks for the 3-name draft on my board. I may never delete this board. Just still sit. I always delete the boards normally. This board, Willie Cauley Stein. All right, RDTF2.
I am gonna go with Miguel Tejada.
Yes.
Pick.
Miguel Tejada eventually traded to the Astros for 5 players. Do you want to name those 5 players?
I've got no shot.
They're all like legitimately recognizable names. Wait,
Hit me.
I'm sorry. It's only 4 players are listed here. I don't remember all 5. Troy Patton, Luke Scott, Dennis Sarfarte, and Matt Albers.
Wow.
It's not bad.
What a weird group of players.
Not a bad little group of guys. But yeah, he played there for 08 and 09. Got traded back, or he signed with the Orioles after that too. So the Orioles kind of fleeced the Astros there. Miguel Tejada also won his home run derby in Houston during that home run derby, because I remember watching that in the lobby of a dorm in Frostburg while I was at Coach Wooten's camp. So that's always a good memory I have there. And yeah. So again, I'm going to Orioles legends and Astros legends. Trey and Tejada first 1 and 2. And then I'll go more recent. We're going to go Yordan Alvarez. I love Yordan Alvarez. I think he is so much fun to watch. He's arguably one of the best hitters in baseball right now. He is just the strongest person in the league, not named Aaron Judge. He's just awesome. His swing is so pretty too. It's crazy. And the fact that they Houston somehow got him from LA they traded like draft money for him or something like that. It's just it's stupid. So I'll take Yordan. Which I think if he ever plays in the AL East, he's gonna hit the warehouse. That's why I want a home run derby in Camden pretty soon, just so we could see Yordan hit the warehouse.
He is pretty fun to watch, Mr. Alvarez.
He's just unbelievable hitter.
I'm gonna take Roy Oswalt. I just feel like just was solid and steady for a long time. I gotta pull up the numbers here, but I think he's like the Astros pitcher you think of. At least I do, personally, from that sort of era. He was just very, very good for a while. So I'm gonna take Roy Oswalt and not think too much more about it. I think that's just solid.
Absolutely untouchable in MVP baseball 05. Maybe the best pitcher in that game. Maybe.
9 years with the Stros. 9 years with the Stros. 3-time All-Star. He was good.
He was very good.
What was that story about? Do you remember the story about him with the tractor? There's some story. I don't know if it was like
the tractor story.
He had a clause in his contract where if he won a Cy Young, the Astros would buy him a tractor, and he won the Cy Young or something. Or it was Cy Young or something like that.
I don't remember that story.
I also don't.
Yeah, bulldozer. Hold on. Here it is. It was a bulldozer. Sorry, I got my farm equipment messed up.
How dare you?
He got a bulldozer for Uncle Drayton. Astros owner gets plowed. That's what this. Oswalt's new bulldozer, a reward for clinching start. Blah blah blah. Remember? Oh, the Astros owner promised him in the clubhouse before a playoff game, win and you'll get that all-purpose tractor you've ever wanted. Game 6, going to the World Series. So he won the game, and they bought him like this massive bulldozer. And there's like pictures of him out in front of the stadium, like on top of the bulldozer. It's very funny.
That's very cool.
As Texas as it gets.
That's very Roy Oswald-ish.
Yeah. I'm going to complete the 3 Bs. You guys let me do this. I'm going to take Lance Berkman here. Switch hitting stud. Came around a bit later than Biggio and Bagwell, but when they got together there, the early to mid 00s, they were formidable there in the middle of the lineup.
Love Lance Berkman. Really good player. Very fun to watch.
Yeah.
Head coach at Rice now, right?
Is that true?
He was considered to be – he was a candidate for the head coaching job at Rice. I believe he's the head coach at Houston Baptist.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I think he was a candidate for Rice though because he went to Rice. They gave it to Jose Cruz Jr. I believe. Hold the phone. Yeah, Houston Baptist. And when he turned 18 and 36 this year, the Houston Baptist. You guys have any shot to get the Houston Baptist mascot? It's a husky.
That makes just no sense.
Nope.
Yeah,
couldn't make less sense. You guys were never gonna get there. Never gonna get there. Wow, look at the picture they had with Jake Boss Jr. from Michigan State. What a photo that is. Wow, those Michigan State throwbacks are pretty tough. Don't like those. Bank shot another one.
I'm taking Roger Clemens.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Clemens, as steroided up as he ever was late in his career, showing up in June, skipping spring training, just coming in with a big old gut and just throwing BDs, throwing splitters. Roger Clemens was a bad dude in more ways than one. And I'm taking
I was going to say, he's all over the map when it comes to being a bad dude.
It was always funny. He was one of those guys that would always play those celebrity golf tournaments not long after he retired, and he would struggle at times. And he gave off such a proud demeanor on the mound that he wasn't to be fucked with, and he was untouchable. And then just to see him completely get humbled by the game of golf was always fun to see.
Golf will do that to you.
Yeah.
I'm taking George Springer. I thought George Springer was the most fun guy on all those teams. Altuve has an argument, but he's a cheater. And maybe they all are, but did anyone prove George Springer had a buzzer on his chest? No. So I'm taking George Springer. UConn guy. Shout out to our friend Marty.
I was going to say you're all about the Huskies right now.
I love the Huskies. Ducharmania. Go UConn women. RET. You guys have no idea what that means.
I'm going to take the guy that you just spoiled, but I'll take Altuve.
Oh, my God. What a pick. I thought Banks was going to take him first.
I was kind of banking on getting him late, but
for one of the short guys, he has to be it. He has to be it.
This one's for the shorties.
Plus, he's also he's a legitimate fringe Hall of Famer. May not be fringe. His postseason numbers are incredible. He's going to have.
Yeah, when they're banging on trash cans, coach.
Hey, listen. You ever clap for Rafael Palmeiro? Same thing.
I get to choose who I root for.
Yeah. I think he's just a very fun player to watch. Again,
I don't think he's a fringe Hall of Famer. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, his numbers
eight-time
are
All-Star, MVP, Gold Glove.
His hit numbers right now,
hit numbers. He's got 1,800 hits. He's definitely going to get to, he's 32. He could play 5 more years, maybe more. He's going to get to 2,500 hits, you would think, probably.
And then I forget the stat, but his playoff home run record, I think he's number 2 or 3. He may be 3 all time in postseason home runs.
Sports Illustrated cover with J.J. Watt. I mean, the guy absolutely has it all.
Yeah. He's a very
he's a Hall of Famer unless he gets banged for the cheating thing and people get off it, which I don't think he will. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, I would think.
Yeah.
The best second baseman of his era, arguably, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Arguably, we don't need to litigate that right now, but he's certainly in the discussion.
I think you gotta say that.
He's played in the World Baseball Classic.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's solid. If my computer wasn't freezing, damn it. Who?
Tough technology stuff.
Oh, wait. I just want to double check. Hold on. This is my next pick. My last pick will be. Yeah, there he is. I just wanted to get the years. We're going big unit. Randy Johnson.
Yeah. Did he only play 1 year there?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to
The trade deadline acquisition.
Yep. That's 1998. Let me get his stats for that year. 11 regular season starts. He went 10-1 with a 1.28 ERA and 116 strikeouts. And 84 in the third innings, 4 shutouts. He finished 7th in the National League Cy Young voting, only playing there for 2 months. That's unbelievable.
That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they lost in the NLDS, and Johnson started games 1 and 4, both losses. Gave up 3 combined runs, earned runs in the 2 games. Crazy. He's just the best. Again, like Nolan Ryan, he's just. They've had arguably 2 of the greatest. They've had 3 of the top 5 greatest pitchers to ever play. Clemens, Ryan, and Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
Fuck, Mary, kill. Start one, bench one, cut one, or whatever.
Yeah, and they got Justin Verlander.
And Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
And they had Eric Bedard.
Eric Bedard, who I almost took with this pick, but instead I'm taking he only played 10 games for the Astros in 2009. He reached base 1 time on a hit by pitch. It's my guy who I've talked about on this podcast. It's my guy. It's Aaron Boone.
Oh, I thought
Aaron
you were going to take Kevin Cash.
No, screw Kevin Cash.
Kevin Cash played there in
guy.
2010. That's why I was like, wait a minute.
Booney, this is the most inside joke of all time that has nothing to do with this show, but I'm putting Booney on my team. Shout out to my guys, Ben and Spitz. Cass and Spitz. They know. They understand why I have to take Booney here. He's my guy. Taking Booney, manages the best team in baseball. So, Banks.
I'll take Billy Wagner. Billy Wagner was sweet.
He was on my board.
Short lefty, just throwing cheese. I believe he was born right-handed. And he just picked up throwing left-handed just for fun as a kid, and it just turned out like, I could just absolutely throw smoke left-handed. So that's my pick.
Yeah, he was good. He was very, very good, Billy Wags. All right. RDT took Trey Mancini, Miguel Tejada, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, and Randy Johnson. My draft is all over the board here. I took LJ Hose, Nolan Ryan, Roy Oswalt, George Springer, and Aaron Boone. Banks actually drafted. He took Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio, Lance Berkman, Roger Clemens, and Billy Wagner. We don't have to do honorable mentions for too long here. I almost took an Alou. They had Jesus Alou and Moises Alou. I almost just grabbed an Alou. You know, you're never bad to have an Alou. Didn't do it, though. Eric Bedard, as I said, very much was on the board, but I took Aaron Boone instead. Anything from you guys? Just you can toss them out if you have any.
I was thinking of Sean Chacon. Why Sean Chacon? It's so random.
It's a great name.
It's
Great
so
name.
random.
It's an absolutely
Like Wandy Rodriguez.
Yeah. Ken Giannitti.
I was thinking about taking AJ Hinch just because he ran such a good, clean, and successful program.
Rick Ankiel. I literally just have the list of everyone who's ever played for them, and I was like,
I also
scrolling
did that.
down.
I also had that.
My cousin went to high school with JJ Matijevic, who's on the team right now, who bat flipped off what's his name, Garrett Cole a couple weeks ago.
And Mike Cuellar, Brad Lidge for giving up such a memorable dinger.
Mm-hmm.
What an absolute tank that was. Oh, my Lord. I remember watching that. Oh, my God. That ball was destroyed.
I wanted to work in an Enron pick in some way. It just wasn't in the cards.
I would have allowed you to take Enron, to be honest.
Yeah, just take Enron Field.
Shocker here, but Oliver Perez played for them.
Yeah, Octavio Dotel was kind of on my radar. Just another fun little Jose Lima.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about relievers. By the way, I love that Baseball Reference is committed to the sponsorship game by having on Billy Wagner's page the Rolaids Relief Award attached to his name. Rolaids, whatever they shelled out for that years and years ago, still paying dividends.
Good.
By the way, the formerly Enron Field, has been Minute Maid Park for 20 years.
That's crazy.
Good for Minute Maid for sticking
I thought
with
it switched at some point, but I found that out a couple weeks ago that it had. Yeah.
Crazy. It was the ballpark at Union Station, and then Enron Field, and then Astros Field. It's been Minute Maid Park ever since.
Did we do a stadium names draft or something?
2 weeks ago.
No, we have it on. Yeah, we just literally did it.
I was gonna say
You took
I literally took Enron.
Enron Field he took Enron Field with the last pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was like
Yeah.
I
that was
took the
2
swamp
weeks
with the
ago.
first pick. I
It's-
mailed in the draft. It was 2 weeks ago.
It's late. It's late.
It is late. It is late. We are admittedly recording this very late, and really the only time we can get it done this week. And everyone is
Yeah.
a bit gassed.
You gotta-
No apologies from us here.
Your co-host with jury duty in the morning.
Yeah, I've got jury duty. I'm gonna go do my civic duty tomorrow. So it has to be done. It has to be done. But that doesn't mean we're not going to give you a draft. So Houston Astros, we'll never do that. We'll never do Houston Astros again. So if you enjoyed that, listen back to it a few more times because we're never drafting Houston Astros again in any situation. Nick Kinder Medley, Maryland, person of the week. RDT.
I'm gonna make it a clean sweep. We'll go Trey. Have to.
I mean, what a shocker.
Have to.
Banks.
I'm just absolutely hit a wall here mentally. I completely forgot the two things. Tina Smythe for being such a great host this past the Smythe clan as a whole for being a host. And then understanding a tough situation where I had my hat in hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did come hat in hand to the Smythes, and we did welcome you to our Ocean City, one of our Ocean City abodes. We have two, don't we? We have two.
Not to brag.
Yeah, I mean we have two places. It's
Which
really not a big
Ocean
deal,
City place of
Ocean
mine did you stay at? Which one? I can't remember. I get them all.
Yeah, it's hard. It's whatever. Mom's side of the family's from there. It's not a big deal. We're just Ocean City people. It's fine. But it was a pleasure to have you, me and Banks, spend some time on the beach together, spend some time.
Honorable mention the daiquiri at Real Inn, just an elite daiquiri.
Real Inn in Harbor Island. Shout out to Real Inn. Your daiquiri was good. That sip I had of it was tremendous. And you're the DAC guy. I'm going I'll jump in with mine. I do love the beach. I haven't been on the beach as much as I would have liked to this summer. Been at the beach, but haven't, at the beach, quote unquote, but not have gone to the beach. And I say that to make a point. We've talked about on this show my love of body surfing back in the day, talking about beach things, and the lack of big time swells in Ocean City this week for me to absolutely dominate was legitimately upsetting. As going out to the beach 2 days and just not getting big waves for me, and as I've coined the young shredders, on their boogie boards, body boards, whatever you want to call them, are just out there going all natural on the body surfing. I was just standing out there with all the young shredders, and we were just getting nothing. We were getting absolutely nothing. And so while I was, I give the beach my, Nick Canterbury, Maryland Personal Week, the waves do not get my same praise. They just did not bring it this week. And it's upsetting. And I only really maybe have one more beach time in me as we enter into sports and football and things are getting started. So that was a little bit upsetting. I really just wanted to have a good 2-hour shred session. I never really got it. So
I do recall
we'll
remarking as an observer that I saw little to no swells out there for you. And I believe your comment to me was, Black, you see no waves and I see an empty canvas. So
that was my comment. And I tried to pin on that canvas. You should have seen me out there on Sunday. I was every single little tiny thing of a wave I was trying to catch. And I caught some really stupid waves, just some really dumb non-waves. And it was me projecting positivity about what could be made of the situation. And the fact of the matter is there's just nothing out there. And so the blank canvas was ripped apart, and it ripped apart my dreams. That's what I'm saying. So you were not totally wrong.
Can't force that kind of
It's
stuff.
one of the saddest stories of the summer.
I'm not sure if you saw, but there's another internet personality trying to take claim as an alpha body surfer.
I didn't see that.
It's one John Feidelberg.
Wow.
That video is unbelievable.
Is he good?
Didn't see a video, but
Is there a video of him?
There was are we talking about the same one? The video from like 1902 of like a family playing at the beach, and it looks like Feidelberg's twin.
no, he tweeted about it,
Oh,
and I
never
put
mind
it in a newsletter yesterday morning.
We were
Interesting.
crossing paths then.
I would go body surf with Feidelberg if he wants to go mano a mano. I love body surfing. It's so fun. It's so fun.
And
and with that,
how does one critique or judge, or is it just instinct as to who? How does one sit there and observe and make a determination as to who's the winner?
you know when you see it. I think it's to give a sort of semi-serious answer. How long you can ride the wave in. How far you get in, towards the beach, is one way. What your form is in getting into the wave. Are you smooth? Does it look natural? Are you one with the water? We're Avatar Way of Water is about to come out, and I don't want to brag, but I have the Way of Water. I'm like a mermaid. So, those are the things you have to ask yourself. Do you have that mermaid? Well, who are you to say that?
That's true. That's fair.
2022.
So,
Come on, man.
Yeah. Zoolander was like 99.
Zoolander. So I think that's the type of things. The beach is fun. But yeah, shout out to the Real Inn though. Great spot in Harbor Island. That Harbor Island is where where all the boats come in for the Marlin tournament, which comes up in a couple of weeks, I believe. So
yeah,
go support that local Ocean City business. Should you be around those parts looking for the boats to come in, go grab a drink up there. Tell them Max sent you.
My friend works for a catering company across the bridge, and they got an order with a name on the invoice to meet them at the Salisbury Airport in a couple days. The name is under Jordan, Michael. Pretty cool.
Wow. Catch 23.
Yeah.
Make sure to go down there. We go back and listen to our interview with champion, former Coward teacher, or current Coward teacher. I can't remember if he still teaches there, Tom Hankel. So go back and listen to that. We've talked about this tournament before. That's it for this week's episode of the X52 podcast. The boys go just after midnight here, and there's just a full yawn from RDT. That will absolutely end the podcast. Make sure to support all of our Exit 52 people, supporters. I can't even talk at this point.
I was like, you'll get there. You'll land this plane. Bring us home.
Jimmy Seafood, fentanyl sunglasses. Like I said, if this is either the end of a podcast that has been recorded or we've jumped in with some crazy Orioles news from Tuesday, we will discuss all minor trade deals next week. If it's minor stuff, if something major's happened, we have addressed it. Yes.
One last thing before we get out of here. Any thoughts on Ohtani and Trout sticking and the Angels trying to keep that together?
That's it for the X52 podcast. We'll see you next week.